everyone. So today I'm going to be reading Priscilla Gorilla, which is written by Barbara Botner and illustrated by Michael Emberley. So first of all, has anyone read this book before? All right. So who do you think this is? What is she doing? Why is she wearing a gorilla outfit? Does anyone want to share any ideas? Awesome. Okay, so let's get into the book. When Priscilla turned 6, her dad gave her a book called All About Gorillas. They read it a million skillion times. So we know skillion isn't a word, but I think the author added it here to make the sentence more interesting, even though it's not a real word. Priscilla talked about gorillas morning, noon, and night. On Science Day, she drew a picture of their habitats. So when you look at this picture that Priscilla drew of a gorilla habitat, what do you think a habitat might be? So I would like you to please turn and talk to each other about what a habitat is and talk about another animal and their habitat, where they live. On Famous Person Day, she brought a poster of Diane Fossey. On Events Day, she performed her own original gorilla dance. Before she went to sleep, she wrote in her private Gorilla Gazette. So what do you think Priscilla's Gorilla Gazette is? Is it kind of like a journal or a diary? Maybe. Why do you love gorillas so much? Her mother asked. They always get their way, said Priscilla. Said her mother. You already get your way a lot. Not in Mr. Todd's class. I was teaching Lily my gorilla dance during nap time, and Mr. Todd invited me to the thinking corner, Priscilla explained. Did you do any thinking? I was thinking how I don't like the thinking corner. The next afternoon before the class photo, everyone was supposed to bring a report about their favorite animal. The best part was you could dress up to look like them. So does anyone want to say the animals that they see here? Awesome. So Priscilla put her gorilla pajamas on over her school clothes and kissed her mother goodbye. Priscilla was the last person to give her report. Gorillas say hello by rubbing their noses together. They can't swim, they laugh and cry. And they have very long arms. Very good, Priscilla, said Mr. Todd. You may sit down. I'm not done, said Priscilla. They can grasp things with their hands or their feet. Thank you, said Mr. Todd. And they sleep 10 hours a day. The end. So I would like you all to please turn and talk about an animal that you would like to learn all about, like how Priscilla is with gorillas. Try to keep that animal in the back of your head for later. Everyone clapped. On the way back to her seat, Priscilla grumbled to her friend Lily. What I really love about gorillas is that nobody bothers them. Now it's time for the class photo, said Mr. Todd. Let's take off our costumes. I think I'd rather stay a gorilla, Priscilla said. Sorry, sweetie, there can't be any gorillas in the class photo, said Mr. Todd. That would ruin the picture for everyone. Priscilla polled the class. Do you think it will ruin the photo if I am a gorilla? There were a lot of noisy opinions. So when the author writes that Priscilla polled the class, what was she doing? That's right, she was asking for their opinions. What's another word we can use for this? Everyone, please line up for your pictures. And Priscilla, I'm inviting you to the thinking corner again. Priscilla growled. Urgh. Troublemakers end up in the thinking corner, Sam whispered as Priscilla walked by. I'm not a troublemaker, Priscilla snorted. I'm a gorilla. She beat her chest. I wasn't in the class picture today, Priscilla told her mother that night. Why not? Mr. Todd thought I belonged in the thinking corner again. He's a bad teacher. I'm sure there's more to it than that, said Priscilla's mother. The next day, Lily wore her lion pajamas to class. She told Mr. Todd, I love lions as much as Priscilla loves gorillas. Lily's lion roared at Priscilla's gorilla. A hoo 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 hoo, roar! Lily was invited to join Priscilla in the thinking corner. You are my very best friend, Priscilla whispered. Sam said, You're both troublemakers. I was just being a gorilla. Nobody tells a gorilla what to wear, Priscilla told Sam. Gorillas don't wear anything, said Sam. The next day, the thinking corner was crowded. I love your pajamas, Priscilla told everyone. We are running out of room in the thinking corner, Priscilla told her parents when she came home from school. Priscilla's father opened up all about gorillas. It says here that gorillas mostly help each other. They've lasted all these millions of years because they cooperate. Is that the kind of gorilla you are? I'm more of a troublemaker gorilla, Priscilla said. Well, if you like being a troublemaker, maybe you want to be a different animal, like a skunk. So if you look at this picture, how do you think Priscilla is feeling about being called a troublemaker? That night, Priscilla studied her collection of gorillas. So when you look at these pictures, what do you notice about the gorillas? Are they working together? Do they look like they're getting along? Do they look like they're cooperating? In the morning, she went up to Mr. Todd. My All About Gorillas book says even gorillas don't always get their way. If that is an apology, I accept it, Priscilla, said Mr. Todd. Priscilla returned to her desk in the second row. Now, class, said Mr. Todd, please put on your coats. We're going on an adventure. And Priscilla, it looks like your gorilla pajamas might come in handy. Everyone climbed on the school bus and drove to the zoo. They headed straight to the ape house. Priscilla ran over to the massive window. The biggest gorilla of all was grooming his sister. Now he came to the front of the cage. His big brown eyes looked right at Priscilla. He grunted and licked his lips. What do you know about gorillas? Mr. Todd asked the class. They sleep 10 hours a day, said Lily. They can't swim, said Zoe. They laugh and cry, said Walter and Kirby. Do you remember where the class learned all this? That's right, it was from Priscilla. They cooperate with each other, Priscilla shouted. Priscilla pounded her chest and hooted. She did her famous gorilla dance. The gorilla bounced up and down, hooting back. And they dance, cried Sam. Sam started doing his own gorilla dance. So did Lily, then Miranda, then Walter and Zoe, then everyone. Even Mr. Todd. So, what I would like us to do now is to come up with a little dance that is like the animal that we talked about earlier. All right, that was fun. Now, I would like to hear from you all. What do you think was the main idea of this story? So now, we are going to take a library trip. I would like you to look in the library for a book about an animal that you're interested in and that you would like to learn all about. All right, thank you.